Hello and welcome to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go, and of the two cards of the year, which is either the Moon or the Death card. Tonight it is the Moon card, and tonight's topic was pretty much inspired, but I've been actually thinking of it, but it was really brought to the surface from the subconscious. I watched Hogarth's Wednesday evening weekly show that he has with Lady G, Sheila, the Celtic psychic, and Lena from Down Under, the sociologist and anthropologist. And after their lengthy, readings of the different issues of the day, they wrapped it up with about where spiritual people fit in these troubled times, and and also the emotional stuff, which is this is all about the emotional stuff about what we're going through right now. And I think it was Lena that said something that was something that was really important, that we as light workers were put on this earth at this time because we were meant to contribute to this. Now, another point brought up, which not only by them, but I believe I heard it on the I've Had It, one of their podcasts, about saying it's gotten to the point, especially with Renee Good being murdered, and I believe that she was, is that it's really gotten to the point where this is not political anymore. This is good and evil, really. I mean, the fact that this has gone to this point, and that ISIS swarming Minneapolis like Gestapo. Basically, there's no other way of putting it. And it really does harken back to Nazi Germany, where it was no longer about left or right. It was good or evil. And there is one thing I do want to address about this, because people argue and say Nazi was National Socialism. Well, there was nothing really socialism about this. It was just window dressing to put, for that populist, let's get the workers on our side. And in fact, many communists and socialists were thrown into concentration camps. So it was all this kind of PR, window dressing stuff. Okay, so we are here at this time for a reason, and I want to see. I think what I do want to do in this reading tonight is, which probably is going to be more like this evening by the time this goes up, is to see where we fit in, not only as light workers, but as people who care. Now, on the thumbnail, I have the monks, the Buddhist monks, in their peace, their March of Peace that's going from Texas to D.C. and Lilydale, spiritualist community of Lilydale, for the most part, opens their season with these fellows, and they stay for a few days. They have ceremonies, make their sand painting mandala, dismantle it, and have a beautiful procession down to the lake, and have another ceremony on the dock and drop it in. So I have to say that it doesn't get more spiritual than these guys. And yet I know that it wasn't like, oh, well, let's just go to the States and do this. No, they know what they're doing. I mean, they're very gentle souls on the surface, and they truly are, but they're, and I've gotten to know some of these guys over the years, and they're wonderful, but you can't push them around. Don't let those robes fool you. because they've been fighting the Chinese. They've been fighting the Chinese for a number of years now, being thrown out of Tibet and all this sort of thing. So they are for peace, but they do stick up for themselves. And I really do get a sense that the timing was done on purpose because of the forces of good and evil. And in these guys, what is more beautiful than seeing them in the dog and I used a picture with their dog. And that's a very important message, and it's a message to light workers and spiritual people, because we're all spiritual people, hopefully, spiritual beings in our bodies here for this time for whatever reason. So what I want to look into is, what is our purpose, and what can we do? Now, I know activism is an important part of it, but I think I want to dig a little deeper. So we've got our moon card here, and because this is all, because this is a lot of soul searching that we're doing. This is a collective thing, but it's also been, I think what this whole period, and they say this is what Trump does, is that he really has brought out the shadow and the not so better angels of the history that we've had with slavery and all kinds of awful things, and that it is an individual battle between our better and our worser self, which is what the two dogs here represent. And the fact of it just puzzles me, and it's probably part of me that's very naive. It puzzles me that a number of people that I know personally really went to the dark side, went with this whole QAnon and this whole Trump thing. People I know that absolutely despised him 10 years ago, or at least maybe like 9 years ago when he took office, and said, or 10 years when he was running for president, and now they're all aboard with him, and it's so bizarre. And I just cannot understand how spiritual people, or I guess they're not real spiritual, maybe more they've got some abilities, that sort of thing. But then and I've said this before, back in the 1930s, there were what they called people in the occult that went to the dark side too, because Hitler had his team of astrologers and psychics. Some of them he was yanking in and out of concentration camps, but he had them. So I guess it's the same thing, and maybe we're here to shine a brighter light than they do. So I do want to take a look at that. But before we do, okay, what's our secondary card here? 3 of Swords, the heartbreak. And I always look at this as a relationship. In a personal reading, it's kind of like a relationship, and then something gets in the middle. It can be an affair. It can be work, it can be just a whole bunch of things can really stab that heart. It's also, I would say in this context, it is heartbreak and betrayal. And it's just like we had a nation, we were going along, and then all of a sudden this and MAGA came into it. But the big lesson of the 3 of Swords, whether it be upright or in reverse, is that even though it is in the storm, it is a moving thing, and it does get out of the storm eventually. So as kind of icky as that is, and scary, it's kind of a positive message, like we're going to get through this, but it's going to hurt while we're getting through it. So I'd love to see this in reverse, but I think maybe one of the things will be, what do we need to do to get this in reverse? And it's I think it's an interesting question, so I'm going to keep that here. I'm using a different deck anyway from So, and then I also want to pick the, as if I think I'm going to do it at the end, I'll probably forget. Okay. So I'm going to pick an oracle card to maybe start to answer this question. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so what do we have here? Power. We have power. We're more powerful than we think. It also comes down to this whole thing about not that we're more powerful than we think, with all the numbers of people out in the street, and the fact that so far so good with the protest marches. There has been a certain amount. There's been a lot of control, a lot of self-control, and no one's gotten out of hand, and not the people haven't tried to provoke them, but it's the power. Let's see, how does she look here? Okay, so she's very powerful, but she's standing very firm. She's very firm, and her hands down. She's really, really grounded, and she's got a couple of wild beasties here too, wildcats there, and it looks like through her hands, she's keeping them tame. It's almost like a little bit like the cousin of the Strength card. So she's kind of keeping these little guys, because they could really hurt you, kind of keeping them. She's grounded. She's keeping them grounded, but not in a violent way. And that's where their strength lies. And so that is the vintage wisdom oracle cards, the version of the strength card. Okay. And it's a female energy. There's so much female energy in keeping the lid on. So, at any rate, keeping this Three of Hearts with the Moon card, very important. I might just put these off to the side so we don't lose sight of them. As to how are we as, because a lot of, Lightworkers watch these channels. So I'm going to take what they were talking about on Hogarth a little bit further and say, what is it that we have to do beyond the obvious? Or what is this trying to tell us, and why we're here, and getting us through the storm and all this sort of thing? And maybe a little question is like, why are some of them fascists? I'm sorry, if you're MAGA, that at this point, that's what you are. Okay, so I was shuffling these beforehand. So our base card is the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So where we are at right now is as we were beginning at the end of the Biden administration, beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel and some hopes economically. We weren't there yet, but we were on an upward swing. And the mental health of the nation was pretty good. But now, with this little fellow being in reverse, that's stopped. That's been stopped. It's been reversed, actually. And we haven't been doing too well emotionally over this. I don't know anybody who said they've been absolutely thrilled that 25 was an absolutely thrilling moment for them. So let's see. What led up to this in the before tarot is the Queen of Swords. That was the card. That was a card for Kamala Harris. And not to criticize her, but I was saying that maybe in regards to her is that, while she's getting ready to pick up the sword of truth, she's concentrating on grabbing the crown that Well, of course, you know, with all due respect, she didn't have much time. At any rate, that there were some truths that she should have told that, but for whatever reasons, maybe the short notice and everything, that she might have had her eye on the prize a little bit too much. And you know, we've done a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking over her. So this is a lesson to learn, and it is, you know, I am in agreement with the IHIP ladies. We've got to, you know, these corporate Democrats have got to go. We need like a whole bunch of Bernie Sanders AOCs, and fortunately, thank God, in my district we have Summer Lee, who's getting mentored the hell out of herself by these guys, because I know she's hanging with the progressives, AOC, and that whole gang. So I think she's learning quite a bit from them. So at any rate, so it is immediately going to be, okay, alrighty. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so in the end of this, now the nine of Pentacles, and it, as she's ending her day and leaving, she kind of let that bird, she let the bird go. She let the bird go, and she's ready to, she's not leaving her little gate. She's getting ready to go inside. But what this tells me in reverse is kind of like, well, really the second thoughts about what this whole prosperity gig may not be what we, you know, all that it's cracked up to be, and that since she's in reverse and she's let that prize bird go, it's time to let go of some of the old illusion and rethink this, because right now people are trying to put food on the table and pay their bills, and everybody's maxed out their credit cards. Oh, to hell with them anyway. But at any rate, taking, as I've said before, taking another look about, at the end of the day, maybe this isn't as hot as we thought it was, and that it's a reassessment of values. So, okay, so what this is beginning to tell us is that part of the spiritual lesson is, it's not like giving up everything and living off the grid, but this whole like Olstein prosperity gospel is a load of bullshit, you know, that kind of thing. And looking at these millionaires, I mean, have you seen that crowd at Mar-a-Lago with all that Botox and plastic surgery? They don't look like happy people. They're really not. It's just like a lot of stuff to fill up the emptiness in people's lives, and it's really superficial. So the energy crossing this is the Knight of Cups. Okay, this is a really emotionally toxic person. This speaks to it speaks to bad mental health. Overly romantic. It's the romantic guy. Okay, this is what it is. It's the romantic guy that got too idealistic. Now it hasn't fixed any of his emotional issues. And let's face it, with this administration, people are drinking and drugging more. I will bet you anything, because this is but it's, in this instance of the cups, it's the being disillusioned about the romantic dream about make America great again and all that horse shit and everything. So this is the disillusioned cavalier. So now it's time to head to the pub and get some libation so we can go into another fantasy world, because the one they tried didn't work. So this is, I would say, this is kind of what we're up against. This is what, and this is why, you know, we're stuck, because buying into a lot of bullshit, basically. Okay, so underlying all this, so this is saying, yeah, we've got our work cut out for us. That is for sure. So let's see if we can we'll take a little deeper look into all of this, which is okay. This really comes down to, this is the guy that picks himself up, brushes himself off, and starts all over again, if you know that song. But after doing it so many times, you mean, like, how many more times can we do this? But we have to. But this guy here is exhausted, because this is saying in reverse, it's like, I've done it a long time. I don't know how much more I have. And the message is, hang in there. Just hang in there. And this also says, like, we're knocking ourselves out. And then these people, the Trump and all, and, now with the Epstein files, they're getting, you're learning that rich perverts get away with it. Really, they may catch one and make them an example, but, so, okay, so we got that. Oh, here we go. Of course it is. Okay. Then dealing with, who is it? Someone said in Hogarth, one of them said, boy, if there's anything to sum this up, this whole regime thing that we're going through, it's the devil card. But people are waking up and seeing him as the devil, but we still have the people who are willingly, see, this is a choice. They're willingly, they don't want to take off those chains. So they're in a big old dysfunction. And this is what I think a lot of them, most of them are. They're in a big dysfunctional, codependent relationship. So of course they're going to, they're going to glom onto the devil. The thing is that, and I've said this before, it's like, trying to change people's minds is like trying to tell an alcoholic in mega denial to stop drinking. It's just going to have, if they want to stay chained to this thing, they're going to stay chained to it. And I think that thing that light workers should remember, many of whom are probably recovering alcoholics and codependents, lots of them in my gang, is that until they're ready to break those chains, you just gotta not waste your energy on them. If you've always got your ear open if they want to talk to you, but you can't drag them away from this. Okay, because here we have right smack dab on top of the Knight of Cups in reverse, of course. And that's the whole thing. That's an underlying thing with this whole regime. From Hegseth to, and I'll bet you like half of that cabinet team is knocking them back big time. And then you got the Muskrat back, and he was so high in a picture the other day, it wasn't even funny. Okay, so then we have dealing with the lies. And the big lie now is that poor woman in Milwaukee, Renee Good, they're lying about it was all her fault and she did this and that. And I will tell you a big lie that I saw from some young Gen Z bimbo on something, I guess a short, who showed a video, a separate video saying, I couldn't look at it very long, but it was like this SUV hitting someone or some completely different video, different light, different car. All I could do was go block. So we're going to be hearing some whoppers. So part of our mission is being honest with ourselves and being honest with others and saying, this is a load of shit, what they're saying. That they're just really, I don't even know what to say, what they're doing to the memory of this woman who was a mother. Was she perfect? No, but who is? And I'll tell you, I would bet anything she's a hell of a lot, they could not shine her shoes and, really. Okay. So, the opposition is, the Four of Wands. So this is a whole thing of our, I guess, the whole thing about our getting back together as a family in our country. I would say maybe that might be, it is kind of opposed to this. This is kind of like we're so far from not being there yet. But I would say that this is a goal, but it's up against a lot. Really up against a lot. Okay, so as we look at ourselves on the conscious level, okay, this is like, we're up against a lot of crap that the smoke screens that people are believing. This is a really big thing that we're very much up against. A lot of this is covering up the Epstein, and then we have now the newest revelation that will not go away is that the Muskrat and his AI to disrobe people and put them in bikinis and doing this with minors. It's disgusting, but I'll tell you, smoke dissipates. All of this stuff is illusionary, fantasy, gobbledygook. It doesn't last, and that's why they have it in a big cloud of smoke, because it clears. Because they can go conquer Venezuela, and I understand Iran may be next, but that's what this is about. But we are aware on a conscious level about smoke screens, and knowing that the truth of that is going to come out. Now, I know that more stuff will be thrown, but okay, subconscious level is, this guy is hesitant. He's ready to pages are messengers. Looks like the costume I wore is when I was in a production as a page in Richard III when I was in college, delivering the message. And, he's ready to spring into action, and it's like we really want to spread this, but then we get a little worried about, well, maybe we need to hold on a little bit, and that there is kind of a head, because it's all so overwhelming, and a lot of people, and I've encountered them, some I know, some I see on the internet, is it, although I can't imagine them still feeling that way, is it like subconsciously there are those that don't want to offend their QAnon fascist lightworker buddies, and I think that's going on. It's a little bit, and it's near the devil card. So I always look at this as a little bit hesitant of spreading the message, because you've got friends you want to hold on to or whatever. But inevitably you will. So that's going. So there's a lot of conflict. Family members, and thank God I don't have that problem, but I understand. Okay, so let's see, in the past with all of this, we have, here she is again. She's getting, that bird's ready to come in for a landing. She's getting ready to start her day. But as the new day dawns with the Nine of Pentacles, she's saying, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I can. And I think this goes down to reassessing beginning with reassessing our material values, especially when there are a lot of people that don't have too many right now, and wondering, maybe I can live without this, that, or the other thing that I didn't think I could live without. Okay, so it's kind of like letting go, like I'm not going to get back into that old grind about maybe compromising myself to make that dollar. So there are a lot of spiritual principles. So coming into the present, we have the Eight of Pentacles. And this is, to me, when I look at this with his little nose to the grindstone with that pentacle, it's kind of like, we get really focused on what's going on now, but we have to give ourselves credit for all the other stuff we have accomplished and a lot more of what we have, because he's kind of hanging them and saving them. But while it's important to be focused on what we're doing now, to not lose sight of a lot of other abilities and that sort of thing, that there's kind of like a lot more than this one thing. So it could also mean that while we're focused on dealing with the climate now, that not to forget to enjoy other things, art, music, movies, that kind of thing too. We cannot be entrenched in that 24/7. So as we head a little bit into the future, gotta grab these little guys. Okay, as we grab into the future, we have the world. See, this is, yep. See, when she's upright, she said, okay, we're done. We're done. I'm going to hang all this stuff up. We're done with this cycle. Time to go visit my buddy, the fool, and start over again. But with this, it's always unfinished business, but it's a little bit, just a little different in saying you're almost getting ready to leave, and then you realize, uh-oh, I've got unfinished business. So this can be on a personal level of keeping our own houses in order. And it could also be that, there may be something that we have overlooked. Okay. So a little further into the future. Oh, yeah, this bad boy here. Our 5 of Swords. So, yep, he's pretty much so concentrated on getting all the goodies that he has. There are people deserting. I'm going to say that this is time to spread the message that I'm seeing this as kind of a Trumpian thing, is that he's losing people. And what I understand from what I did from YouTube surfing today, I think maybe Midas Touch, and not only Midas Touch, a whole bunch of them have said, people in ice are starting, their families don't want to have anything to do with them, their friends don't want to have anything to do with them. So they're starting to be isolated, just like Kanks is starting to be isolated. But see, this is interesting. He's got his hand in the cookie jar so much, and he is so wrapped up in his truth, he can't see there are people leaving. So this is a very self-absorbed guy. And he's picking up all of these swords off the beach. And the thing is that with people like this, you have to realize that they're not going to know till it's way, way, way too late. Like when everybody's gone, this whole thing. So this is an important lesson in making people aware that, that the only thing you can say to your die-hard, Kool-Aid drinking Trumpanzee friend is like, can't you see all the friends you're losing? Can't you see all the, all the support he's losing? And then that's all I have to say. You may not believe me. That's all I have to say. So I'm going to go on, but think about that. Okay, so, on the so let's see what do we think of ourselves, okay, what we think of ourselves. Okay, well, we're the ones to lead and inspire, but with that comes a lot of responsibility. And this could be very, watch out, kids. The ego could really take hold of this. And what others think of us, which is lots going on. There's so much going on. I wonder if even people are thinking about us at all. What I am also seeing is that there is going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be really, really going on, that it's really hard to keep up with things. But I'm going to say that people are concentrating on other things, and maybe they don't, unless they want to. Maybe it's saying is that, that maybe people are not seeking out light workers. They've got a lot of their own stuff. I think that they eventually come back, but everybody's. But this isn't a bad thing. I think what it's telling us in the future is that when they do seek us out, that they can see that there's a lot of positive things that could be going on. So I have to tell you, in my readings, I can think of very few where this whole thing hasn't come up. So I want to do a conclusion, and then let's get this other deck here. Do a quick conclusion, and maybe try to just do a real quick read on why are some people going to the dark side? Because some of them were kind of progressive. It's just so mind-boggling. I mean, because this really has gone way beyond the political philosophy into really good and evil. Hate to say it, folks, but that's what it is. So to conclude on this one, as far as getting us our contribution to getting ourselves and others through this storm right now, the role of the light workers. So let's see, we've got here. This is interesting because the one good thing that could happen is coming together as a family. Now, the thing is, I don't know, because I know a lot of the metaphysical crowd watches these videos. The one thing that I want to say is that if you've especially gone to spiritualist churches in the U.S., I've been to some overseas, but not enough to get the group dynamic. Because there's a part where you do public demonstration of mediumship in front of the crowd, it becomes competitive. It's like when in the theater, I was saying, my God, when I saw some of that stuff going on, I said, why am I getting some deja vu back? Oh, yeah, it's back in the theater. So the thing is that our big spiritual lesson is really to start working together. And there's a saying I heard at the Arthur Findlay School in the UK is that there are enough dead people to go around for all of us to, so it's getting that maybe a big spiritual lesson that we're learning that we can pass on to others is that maybe we do a lot better by working together instead of being competitive. I hate to say it, but that exists. It's not pretty, but it exists. And energetically, we have with this, interesting, the Page of Pentacles. We need to get together because a lot of, the economy hasn't been so great for us. There's been a lot of, after the worst of the pandemic was getting the new start. And then this has kind of held us back too, in a way, because a lot of my colleagues are saying, boy, people are not getting in touch as much as they used to. So what this says is that maybe if we start to get together a little bit more, that, we do help each other out. And then we get together and we help out the community. But this is also saying, if we can get along and do a little bit better in that regard, we're inadvertently teaching the rest of society how to do that. So let's see, we'll wham a Claire. Oh, here we go. I didn't load the deck. We have strength. And the thing is that it's a strength that's quiet. It's not that big. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it's not being like the big razzle-dazzle celebrity medium that goes up to people at parties or in the supermarket or whatever. The thing is showing our strength in a quiet way. It's also kind of spreading that vibe that if anybody's going to protest that, send out a bunch of Reiki energy to that. And if you're, your spiritual healing or whatever your modality is, before you go to the protest, send out a lot of peaceful, good energy. Because what this is a very, very important, I would call this the card of protest, is that by any means possible, you stay calm and don't get baited. It's a highly charged thing. So the one thing to do is send that energy out there. And if a lot of people, and that's the thing, and if a lot of people are going, and even if you're not going, that's a big contribution. You get lots of people doing that at once. That's some pretty powerful stuff. So know that the strength is in taming the beast of the provocateurs that will, inevitably be coming. And also that this is the sad thing, because I believe that this woman here is Renee Nicole Good. Because in her interaction with the ice guy, it's like, I don't hate you, chill. Basically she was telling him to chill. And then when he approached her in a very, very hostile way, then of course I would have stepped on that gas and peeled out. She did not hurt him. The guy didn't go to the hospital. But, the whole thing was that she was there to tame the beast, and sometimes the beast can't be tamed. But in the aftermath, you've got to keep your cool. So the one thing I want to find out is like, what's going on? Just to draw a couple cards. Just I'm going to shuffle this up. What is going on with these people? I mean, going the queue. Now I know with some of them, and I'm thinking one of in particular who's an expat overseas, is that whole, it started, with the pandemic and the anti-vaxxing thing, all of that kind of stuff. I know that it began, it morphed into, even though he actually, the one thing he did is he did push for the development of the vaccines. It was that, but it was also believing a lot of stuff like Hillary Clinton and pizza parlor basements and all this weird stuff. And the horrible irony is that it started with that Save the Children, and they became, that all this thing of international, which the ironic thing is, guess who it turned out to be? The people they're supporting. So, let's see. I want to see what these cards have to say. Get a little bit of insight into this. So let's pull this down here. Get these guys out of the way here. Yeah, like what is going on with that? That's just too crazy for words. Put these aside here. Okay, so let's see. So the base card for this is, Six of Wands in reverse. Is that, this can go for your, general out of central casting MAGA person, is that they feel in some way that life has dealt them a losing hand. Isn't that interesting? So they see themselves, they're in the situation where they can come off as the most, I'm the greatest psychic in the world and this and that, but deep down inside, it's like maybe it goes back to the family of origin stuff that they never got treated for and have been made to feel like losers. So why am I not surprised? Maybe this isn't as hard to figure out as I thought. Okay, so the energy with that is they see themselves as frauds who are going to get caught. And this is the insecurity. Well, a lot of us go through this like, oh, is this for real? Is this real, or is this stuff I'm making? No, but this is chronic. This is really chronic with them. And, if you want an image for you civilians there, but I think we all have this to a certain degree. If you want to have one image of this, it's that QAnon Jake, what's his name, shaman in quotes, big time quotes, okay? That's that gang. So let's see what we have here. Even if they're not in dire straits in their mind, this is telling me that they've been left out in the cold. That sort of thing. It's kind of this paranoid thing. Then we have, nothing ever goes my way. Oh dear, woe is me. Okay. And on top of that is afraid to show their real selves. Not being the open person. They put on a good act with that, and just keep that guy in mind with the paint and the horns and all that schmata stuff he had on. It's like, and I think looking at that dude, I'm saying with all that paint and stuff, that it was a way that he's thinking, oh, I'm putting on my shaman stuff, and actually it was to basically hide himself because he doesn't like himself that much. So that's it has the illusion of being open, but it's not really open at all. So let's pull a couple more things. So let's see, just real quick. On the conscious level, these guys are pretty much the same mindset as your MAGA wannabe, and maybe some of the oligarchs is like, maybe since I've been dealt a rotten hand, maybe it's time for me to, if you can't lick them, join them. And maybe it's that whole thing with, loving Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg or whatever. Okay. Alienated. Never quite got it with the, with the crew of Lightworkers like I had with the Ten of Pentacles. They never got that feeling. I kind of like always, that's the thing, always in competition. I'm the best psychic, astrologer, whatever, and feeling as though they're being very judgmental towards them because because they feel as though they're being judged. So this is an interesting mindset. So I think we only need another card or two for this. I guess this really isn't the rocket science that I figured it was going to be. So then we have the Two of Cups. This is that QAnon group is kind of like they feel turns this guy right side up. So they find a bunch of sickos just like them and feel as though they're doing some kind of healing together. This is not a difference of political opinion. Obama versus McCain, that's a difference of political opinions. Obama versus Mitt Romney, that is a difference of political views. You get it? Okay. I was going to go to the local level, but, Shapiro ran against a crazy, a crazy conspiracy theorist, and, both And then you've got Fetterman versus Oz, two nut jobs against each other. So let's see, maybe one more. Okay, alrighty. Yep, that's a good one. They just do really foolish things, not thinking at all, just ready to jump on the bandwagon because of that empty whatever. And the thing is, I'll tell you, I know someone that, they've worked with the police, they're very skilled, they've got their skills set together, but they're a mess. I mean, this is what's saying that they're a mess, and it's like the lack of self-esteem, belonging, that sort of thing, which I think carries into the mainstream MAGA, is kind of like unhappy people settling for crappy relationships, jobs, or whatever. So this is something I suspect that I haven't finished. We haven't heard the end of this, but I would say, maybe it's time for we that do this kind of work to start getting together, helping each other out. If someone's having some financial problems, if you can help, or toss a reading or something like that their way if you're busy. But trying to do things because then when we're good to ourselves and good with each other in this little community of ours, it really does ripple out. So a lot of it is like teach our workshops and do the readings and all this sort of thing. But what this reading basically says, if we can live these principles, it does move out to the rest of society. It's like sending that positive energy before going to the march, or if you can't make it, send it out there anyway. It all goes together. So that's why we're all here at this time. That's our purpose. It's nothing special about us. The rest of you can join in too. So at any rate, I went a little bit longer than I thought I would. So at any rate, I'm going to sign off for now and say bye-bye.